The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All righty, time to dig into the recruiting report here on Sports Talk, brought to you by our good friends, as always, at Seawell's, the best spot if you've got catering opportunities, starting to look forward to the upcoming football season, weddings in the fall, graduation ceremonies in December, whatever you might need. Check out SeawellsCateringSC.com for all the details. Don't forget about the daily luncheon buffet. We are crossing our fingers, Josh, that it may reopen tomorrow. We're not quite sure at this point in time, though, correct?
Yeah, I have no clue. I would assume either, tomorrow tomorrow would be the only day. They're usually closed on Mondays now. But
right.
Yeah, so tomorrow, hopefully, and then hopefully there's a roast beef Friday because everybody in South Carolina loves roast beef.
We need to cap off the busy week with a roast beef Friday, so we'll let you know tomorrow for sure. But again, it's Seawell's, the best spot for catering, and of course the daily luncheon buffet. In recruiting, South Carolina added another defensive piece to its 2025 recruiting class on Saturday with a public commitment from linebacker Jaden Breaker of Snellville, Georgia. He chose the Gamecocks over NC State and Utah. Breaker made his official visit to USC the first weekend of June, continued with official visits throughout the month with stops at Rutgers, Utah, North Carolina State, and Kentucky. He could grow into a defensive end, but for now the Gamecocks see him as an outside linebacker. Meantime, Clemson is underway in building the 2026 recruiting class, and the Tigers have started at a good spot, that of course being quarterback. On Sunday they nabbed Tate Reynolds of Queen Creek, Arizona, announcing a commitment to the Tigers. The former Arizona State baseball commit also had offers from West Virginia, Texas A&M, Baylor, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Miami, Tennessee, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Oklahoma State, and others. Reynolds camped with the Tigers back in June and impressed head coach Dabo Swinney and quarterbacks coach Garrett Riley enough with his arm and his character to earn an offer. He ended up staying several days at Clemson and soon after decommitted from the Sun Devils, and while he was there, he took in Clemson's Super Regional Baseball Series with Florida and has talked with Eric Backage about the possibility of playing both sports at Clemson. As for the possibility of going to pro baseball out of high school, Reynolds said that's not likely to happen. We will hear from Tate Reynolds coming up at the end of this recruiting report. Sunday was a good news, bad news day for USC football coach Shane Beamer. On the good side, he issued a commitment alert for a pending announcement from a 2025 prospect. There are several possible prospects who could eventually claim that alert. Meantime, the bad news, Beamer lost one of his best prospects in cornerback Shamari Earls of Chester, Virginia. Beamer was the first SEC coach to offer Earls, and he committed in April, but he did not take an official visit in June to USC while taking visits to Georgia and Michigan. As you might imagine, he committed on Earls actually decommitted Sunday from USC so he could announce his commitment to where else? The University of Georgia. Earls was the only cornerback commitment in the class, and his defection with 17 commitments. USC target defensive tackle Bryce Jenkins of Washington, D.C. has committed to Maryland. One-time USC target offensive guard Jacoby Ward of Savannah has committed to Auburn. On the month, South Carolina and Clemson had high hopes of landing offensive tackle David Sanders, Jr. of Charlotte. Early recruiting network Verbiage. I'm proud of Phil for squeezing in verbiage into his recruiting report. Placed the Gamecocks in a strong spot because of multiple visits with Sanders from Sanders in 2023 and also an official visit in early April, his first of 7 official visits. This year he visited in March and again for his official visit in June. Numerous analysts wrote in Clemson as one that would go wire to wire with Sanders. Now 5 weeks away from his commitment announcement, neither has a chance. That's because last night he revealed his final 4 schools as Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, and Nebraska. He has set August the 17th for his announcement. USC is among the top 12 with a 2026 offensive guard Genevieve Carr of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. The others on his list are Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Louisville, Oklahoma, Michigan, South Florida, and Auburn. He visited USC for the spring game last April. Meantime, Clemson continues to show interest in 2026 offensive tackle Chancellor Barkley of Mineola, Florida. He was offered by the Tigers in June after a camp workout. Some of his other offers are Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Oregon, and Ole Miss. pardon me, not only did I go on a cruise, Smitty, I also brought back a cough with me. I'm not sure what island infected me, but yeah, I brought back a cough
As
too.
did
so
I. As did I.
That was fun. I thought you never got sick.
Wow.
Ever.
I have a cough. I'm not sick. I have a cough, not sickness.
See.
Wow. He's really having a cough there.
Yeah, no, this is actually improvement. Trust me. Should have been in the car coming home Saturday. I had one of my family members requested me to go to the hospital. It was bad. So it's gotten better, guys. It's gotten better.
It's Turk's revenge, they call it.
It may very well be. Yeah, it may very well be Turkey. I'll just leave it at that. Where was I? Oh, yeah, Georgia. Why not start at the recruiting hotspot of the Southeast? Georgia made an intriguing late addition to its 2024 senior signing class earlier today with a commitment from former elite basketball recruit Jazari Jackson, a 6'11" offensive tackle. 6'11" offensive tackle. He now stands among the tallest players in college football. He spent the last 3 years playing basketball with the Atlanta-based Overtime Elite program. He announced his commitment to Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs earlier this morning, opting for Georgia over Florida. Florida State, Mississippi State, and Arkansas at the end of a rapid-fire recruitment. Jackson, who is 20 years of age, will count towards the Bulldogs class of 2024, and he's already on campus with plans to enroll in Georgia next month. Wonder what is he doing on campus? I guess he can go hang out with the football team if you haven't enrolled. Come on, Smitty. I know you're plugged into recruiting questions like these.
Looking it up now.
2026 quarterback Jontavius Wyman of Jonesboro, Georgia, who has an offer from USC and interest from Clemson, is set July 10th for his commitment announcement. That's Wednesday. Some of his other offers include Michigan, LSU, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, along with Kentucky, Oregon, Florida State, and a bunch of others, and including Georgia. By the way, 2026 offensive tackle Desmond Green of Timberland has been offered by Colorado. EC Florida right-handed pitcher Carter Harrington committed to the College of Charleston. And the USC women's basketball team in the top 6 with 5'11" Divine Barrage of Davenport, Iowa. The others on her list are LSU, Illinois, Baylor, Virginia Tech, and Arizona, not Georgia on the women's basketball side. They have not recruited nearly as well as their football team has.
No, they're different. They are different.
And that is Recruiting Tonight, brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. I do have to say, we joke often about things that are going along with regards to Georgia athletics. You cannot question, though, their ability to go out and get exactly who they want, where Kirby Smart sees fit to plug in players. They are a recruiting machine.
Yes.
And I'll be stunned if they miss out on the playoffs. I really will. I mean, it's almost a given. You can go ahead and pencil those guys in. There are going to be several schools, Smitty, when we expand to 12 starting this year. I mean, that you can just pencil in. Georgia is going to be one of them.
And I certainly think that that's one of the mistakes about expanding the playoff. What are we watching for? I mean, you could argue, well, we're watching to see if Georgia wins the SEC and how they do in rivalry games and what their seeding will be, if they can earn a bye and the like. But really, I think recent history has shown us the playoff has actually hurt the conference championship games as well, right? Because oftentimes you have one team just playing spoiler to the other, or in this case, in the SEC, you're likely going to have two teams meeting that are going to the playoffs anyway. So what's on the line? Are you going to have guys? Are we getting to the point where we talk about load management? If you have a wide receiver with ankles bothering him a little bit, maybe he sits out the SEC championship because that doesn't mean nearly as much as being healthy for the college football playoff. I don't want to be there. I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in the world where college football games week to week, those games matter. But we may be leaving that by the wayside because once you go to 12 teams, just as you said, I think we've got a couple of programs, and Georgia's chief among them, that I don't really have to pay attention. They can be on autopilot, finish whatever, 11-1, 10-2, 9-3. It doesn't matter. Georgia's going to the playoff. What will matter is their matchup and their health going into January.
And if Georgia and Texas are as good as everybody believes they are, there's the possibility they could play 3 times this season.
Yep.
Regular season, SEC championship game, and in the playoffs. Do we really want to see that? As good as those games may be, do we really want to see three times 2 teams playing college football?
You know what? You want to see the first one for sure. if you think if it turns out that they finish 1-2 in the SEC and they're going to play in the championship game, that game now loses luster because we know it's only a precursor to what we know, which is if they're two of the best teams in the country, they're both going to the playoffs. Look, people have likened this. It's similar to the NFL, and that's what we don't like about the NFL. What we don't like about the NFL are the last 2 weeks of the regular season for the best teams. They try to trick us and say, oh, look at the playoff implications. Yeah, for the 5 and 6 seed, it's not real as Fox would have you believe.